Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the ESSB Honors Podcast. In this episode, we will talk with Doa about her experiences regarding both the honors program and her research internship. So, Doa, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. So my name is Doga Ultanir. I was born and raised in Istanbul, Turkey, and I am currently a second-year psychology student at Erasmus University Rotterdam. And this year, I have had the amazing opportunity to take part in the SSB Honors Program. Also, both as part of the program and to further gain experience and knowledge in my field, I'm currently doing a research internship at ESSB in the Department of Clinical Psychology.
Right, sounds very interesting. We'll go deeper into the research internship later. First of all,
Yeah.
I would like to know what made you apply for the honors program?
Yeah, so the thing that appealed to me the most about the honors program was its interdisciplinary approach, as well as its focus on research. As a future psychologist and a scholar, my biggest aspiration is to master the complexity of the human psyche. But I believe that that is possible not only through an extensive body of knowledge in psychology, but also a deep understanding of many other areas of social sciences, for example, like sociology, public administration, and so on. And as a psychology student, I deal with ill-defined problems quite frequently, which requires multiple perspectives since they can be provided with multiple solutions or it can be approached in different ways. For example, in some cases, you have to have a sociological perspective to understand the dynamics within a group, or a pedagogical perspective when dealing with child development and education. So having the opportunity to be introduced to fellow students and also to leading scholars from many different fields was definitely one of my biggest motivations to apply for the program. But furthermore, I've had a growing interest in research since the time I have started my studies at Erasmus. So I have had a strong desire to explore and possibly provide answers to yet undiscovered or unexplained phenomena. But I honestly didn't really know where or how to start. So having to do a research internship was the perfect opportunity to see for me if my interests in research could potentially become a goal that I would like to further pursue as a career. And I can say that I am really glad that I did.
Yeah, I think that's indeed the good thing about the program. That even if you're not interested in research, or if you do are like you are, it's a good time to get exposed to research, and see how you feel about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so when we look back at the entire honors program and the entire year, what has been the most interesting part for you, and why?
Oh, I think the most interesting meetings we had were the ones in which we focused on psychedelics. Even prior to the session, reading about articles about the potential efficacy of psychedelic drugs in the treatment of various psychological as well as psychiatric disorders definitely has sparked new interests for me. And also, what's really important to mention here, I think, is that in these sessions, we didn't only focus on their potential benefits, but we also critically analyzed and reflected on the potential disadvantages of such drugs being legalized and being easily accessible to the public. But I would say that the part I truly enjoyed during these meetings were the interdisciplinary approach we had to attain. So, for example, me and my group, which mostly consisted of psychology students, we had to write a paper on psychedelics from a sociological perspective. And if I have to be honest, as psychology student, I didn't have a lot of background knowledge in sociology. So this was quite challenging for me. And I think that it was one of the first times which I have truly felt encouraged by the honors program to step out of my comfort zone. And it was quite thrilling to see at the end the different groups presenting a paper they have written outside their fields.
Yeah, that was indeed the interesting part of that session. I mean, it's also like psychedelics. It's kind of a controversial topic. So
Yeah.
for ones listening, you're gonna have a lot of controversial topics, and that's what makes it so amazing.
Yeah, I think that's really important to mention. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And so you said you were doing a research internship. How did you end up finding this research internship you're doing right now?
Yeah. So when I first started looking for an internship, my biggest aim was to find something that would truly align with my interests and goals for the future. So I started contacting some professors and researchers whose work I've been following for a while from the Department of Psychology. But also at the same time, our coordinators were constantly updating us on new internship positions. But the direction I wanted to pursue was quite specific. So I was honestly having quite a hard time finding an internship that would be a good fit for me. After quite some time, I was really stressing out and I was trying to contact more professors. But then I got a notification about a new internship position that was posted by our coordinators. And as soon as I read the description of the study, I realized that it perfectly aligned with my interests within psychology. So I immediately sent my application and thankfully got the internship.
Yeah, I remember some more students, including me and you, we were a bit more stressed because we were the last ones to find an internship, you know. But it's indeed, as you say, it's important to find something you like, as you
Definitely.
did.
Yes.
Yeah. So, could you explain again for the listeners what the research was exactly about?
So to put it really simply in one sentence, we measured the underlying neurocognitive mechanisms of food cravings with an experimental study. And unquestionably, eating patterns are important predictors of many health related outcomes, such as obesity and overall mental well being. But there are still many undiscovered properties of eating habits. So, in our study, we really emphasize the role of cognition in eating behaviors. And if I have to provide a simple explanation for cognition, it refers to both basic and complex mental processes that are, for example, involved in our attention, reasoning, memory, or perception, and so forth. So, in our research, we specifically focus on the effects of cognitive reappraisal on food cravings. And cognitive reappraisal basically is an emotional regulation strategy in which the meaning of an emotional stimulus has to be reinterpreted. So, thereby changing the emotional response a person has to the stimulus. So, in the case of food cravings, this would take the form of suppressing cravings for unhealthy foods by considering their negative dietary impacts. So, for example, when a person is really craving for a burger, if they can actively control their craving by focusing on alternative meanings of eating a burger, such as the negative outcomes it will have for their health in the long term, let's say that an increase in weight or an increased risk of heart diseases, they would be able to successfully suppress their momentary craving for that burger. So, to sum up all that information, we expect that when people engage in cognitive reappraisal, their cravings for unhealthy foods will decrease, while their cravings for healthy foods will increase. And a really key concept that I have to mention here is that there are two general systems involved in human cognition. So the first system, system one, refers to the bottom-up processing of information. It's stimulus-driven and it's a more automatic process. So an example for this system would be when the human eye captures an image as it suddenly appears on a screen. Sorry. On the other hand, system two refers to the top-down processing of information, which is driven by our cognition. So here the brain brings on the information it has acquired before to interpret the encountered stimulus. So in system two, our thinking influences how we experience the environment, whereas in system one, the environment influences our thinking. And in the case of cognitive reappraisal, people have to deliberately recruit controlled top-down processing in order to inhibit the automatic bottom-up processing of stimuli. So, given that cognitive reappraisal is a strategy that heavily relies on various cognitive skills such as these, we examine the role of working memory capacity in the effectiveness of cognitive reappraisal. And working memory basically is a cognitive system that holds and manipulates a limited amount of information to execute cognitive tasks. And an example for this memory would be when you are trying to remember a new phone number until you have the chance to write it down on a piece of paper. So, you know, when you just rehearse that number over and over in your head so that you don't forget it. And following this, the hypothesis we have in our study is that people with a higher working memory capacity will be better able to apply cognitive reappraisal and thus decrease their cravings for unhealthy foods, as well as increasing their cravings for healthy foods. And we expect that people with a higher working memory capacity will be better able to do this compared to individuals with a lower working memory capacity.
That sounds fascinating. But how
Yeah.
do you exactly examine this?
Yes, thank you for asking that. We look at the neural substrates of these cognitive processes. So we use EEG, so electroencephalogram, to measure event-related potentials in the brain. And event-related potentials are basically the electrical brain responses to specific cognitive and sensory events. So what we do with the EEG is we place electrodes on the scalp to measure the brain activity elicited by different appetitive cues the participants encounter in the experiment. So in this case, these appetitive cues are unhealthy and healthy foods. And yeah, so we look at the different brain activity.
And you as an intern, could you describe for the people listening that might do a similar research internship during the program, exactly what tasks did you have?
Yes, of course. So essentially, my responsibilities include participant recruitment and the data collection. So when participants sign up for our study in the system, I contact them to arrange an appointment for them to come to the Erasmus Behavioral Lab to participate in the experiment. And a crucial aspect of my tasks include making the participants feel comfortable and safe throughout the experiment and enjoy it as much as they can. But more importantly, I am responsible for setting up and collecting the data with EEG. So the EEG equipment and the data collection itself is quite delicate. So I particularly have to make sure that everything is set up correctly and that it is functioning properly. And when the equipment is set up, I assist the participants through the experiment and administer several computerized behavioral and cognitive tasks. So to sum it up, I am currently mostly responsible for participant recruitment and data collection, but I really do hope that I will have the chance to gain more experience both within this study and this field.
All right, that sounds quite interesting. And now the most important question, actually, because you gave us a theory in which your tasks were, but let's look at the bigger picture, right? So
Mhm.
why is it important that this research is being done? What would be the scientific and practical implications of a study like this?
Yes, that indeed is a really important question that has to be addressed. So, since we are looking at the influence of cognitive skills on the effectiveness of cognitive regulation, this study could potentially have several important practical and scientific implications. So, if it can be shown that several cognitive regulation strategies work better for some people than others, then techniques can be tailored to the needs of those specific groups or individuals to be implemented. So, in this case, it would be for people with a higher working memory capacity and cognitive reappraisal. So, let's say that it's been shown that individuals with a lower working memory capacity don't benefit from cognitive reappraisal to regulate their cravings as much as people with a higher working memory capacity. So then in this case, it would kind of be a waste of resources and time to implement this strategy for people with a lower capacity. But instead, here we can either um, either the techniques that fit those individuals the most can be applied, or alternatively, those individuals can be trained to improve their working memory capacity. So with our research, we really can shed light on how to optimize and improve the current methods that exist within our field. And also, for eating, for food cravings and eating behaviors, there are various eating disorders that are characterized by cravings, such as binge eating disorder. We see that these people quite frequently engage in binge eating due to increased food cravings or due to emotional eating. So, if the effectiveness of cognitive reappraisal in regulating food cravings can be established, these patients may be provided with an alternative technique to better regulate their emotional response to food. And but it's also really important to note here that our results are not only applicable to clinical contexts and patients, but They can also be applied in the case of, for example, obesity, or even only when people just want to lead healthier lives. So basically, I am trying to say that the techniques that we are trying to establish can be applied for all of the individuals who desire to lead a healthier life. But I believe that on top of all the other implications I have mentioned so far, the most important thing to emphasize here is that cravings are not only implied in eating habits, but they're also a significant characteristic of many types of addiction. So cravings are essentially what cause people to desire the addictive substance, thereby preventing them to refrain from it. So acquiring an elaborate understanding of the underlying mechanisms of cravings and how they can be suppressed might have implications far beyond those of eating disorders. So to improve the lives of many who struggle with addiction. So establishing the efficacy of strategies such as cognitive reappraisal has the potential to be implemented in various fields and treatment contexts that are not only limited to eating and food behavior.
Okay, that's fascinating because what you're saying is then that when once we understand these mechanisms, these
Mhm.
underlying mechanisms of cravings, this could also be applied to for example smoking.
Yes, exactly. Smoking is also a really prevalent type of addiction in our days. And for example, if you can establish a strategy or a technique for smokers to suppress their cravings for nicotine, it can definitely be applied to those people too, for sure.
Fascinating. And all right, so when we look at your experiences in the internship, how did the entire internship experience you had in the past year help you with both your academic and professional aspects of life in the future?
Yeah, so this internship undeniably helped me develop in so many ways. So, as for my academic career, I have gained knowledge and insights into various aspects of psychology that regularly wouldn't really be covered in a bachelor's study. I have gained a lot of practical skills as well as theoretical knowledge throughout this internship that I really believe will be useful for my future professional career. Um, Also, because I really desire to pursue a career in research. So the internship really aligned with what I want to pursue as a professional psychologist or a scholar in the future. And also the fact that our study could be applicable to various contexts, including both clinical and non-clinical populations, open many more doors and interests for me to further pursue this path. But I believe that besides the academic and professional aspects, I have also significantly developed on a personal level. So I acquired many valuable networks, improved my communication and team working skills, and also some other skills that will be really beneficial in any context, such as how I manage my time. Because that I did the internship, the honors program, my studies, and also some more extracurricular activities at the same time. I really had to manage my time effectively and efficiently, and I think those were the most important skills I have gained out of this internship.
Yeah, I think I can resemble with that. Most honor students were in time management. I think that was indeed one of the most important things everyone
Definitely.
took out of it. One more question, actually, about the experience. Do you feel like the theories you learned in psychology in the bachelor finally came into practice during the internship?
Yes, definitely, because we have been reading a lot about the theoretical backgrounds of many psychological phenomena in our studies. But as a bachelor student, you really do not get the chance to apply those knowledge into some practical fields, So just being able to observe observe those phenomena I have acquired throughout my studies in real life and also in really complicated daily life events, it definitely was an amazing opportunity for me.
And now that the year is over, what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, well, I am really excited for the third year because I will start the year by doing a minor in positive behavior change. And I believe that minor really aligns with the aims and the goals of the internship that I am doing right now. And I am also really interested in behavior change. So if with this minor by being able to learn about how to design a behavioral intervention and what makes such an intervention effective. I am really looking forward to just acquiring that knowledge and being able to apply that in my future career. And also next year, I will be doing my specialization in clinical psychology, which I am also really looking forward to, just deepening my understanding within the clinical field. And yeah.
All right, I wish you a lot of good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
So, final question for today, for the ones listening. If you could give our listeners and prospective honor students a tip, what would it be?
Yes, so that's a really great question. I wish I had that answer before I started up, before I applied for the program. I think my biggest tip would be because I know that a lot of students in the first place even hesitate to apply for the program, but I can most confidently say that there is no need for such doubts, because it is the most perfect opportunity for you to grow yourself as a student, as a person, and it is truly the chance to challenge yourself. So, like, my first tip would be to say definitely challenge yourself and apply for the program. And also, throughout the program, do not be afraid to be challenged, because you will have to step out of your comfort zone, discover many new interests and fields that you potentially wouldn't be interested in, maybe, and really do pursue those. And because that is the only way to achieve growth, I believe. And also, a tip that I can give for the application process would be to do not really focus on the quantity of the work you did so far, but focus on its quality. So I know that a lot of people stress about their GPA and also just their previous academic career, but what really matters in the application is how you can contribute to the program, what individual characteristics and values you can bring on with yourself. So really make sure to highlight those and emphasize those, and show that how you can stand out among the other applicants. I think that's what really matters.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that.
Yeah.
So, Doa, thank you very much for being here and for your insights. I wish you all the best with everything. Good luck in the third year as well. And thank everyone for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following us. And if you don't follow us already, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn for more episodes. And have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.